Dudes and dudettes, how are you guys? This is Chazzy and welcome back to the Mixer. Today I'm going to be doing one of those concept vlogs again, where I just talk about something, It's just me talking to you guys straight up, without any crazy editing or photos or videos and all of that. It would be cool if I could find videos of this. It'd be really cool if I could find video evidence of what I'm going to talk about today and photos of the actual machines involved, the things that would make it be possible to travel through time. Do you guys believe in time travel? Huh? I legitimately want to know, as you're watching the video, leave a comment down below right now telling me if you actually think this is real or just a bunch of hogwash, how do the English say it? Oh, it's a bunch of hogwash. It's rubbish. It's just rubbish. I'm gonna stop that. Okay, so I'm gonna be talking a little bit about the concept of time travel, and how possible it could be and how fun it would be if you do it right, Now, time travel is a very confusing concept to some, because we see it in movies and TV shows all the time, and it's always so weird because sometimes the way that they play around with it makes it so just by going into the past, even if you don't actively change anything, but just by going back there and gaining knowledge of something that you didn't know before is going to affect the future, Certain pieces of media play around with this in different ways, like sometimes a movie is going to just take the simple fact that if you just go back, and you're there, just by looking back into the past, it's already going to affect the future, There is a movie that Nicolas Cage played the main character that he can see the future, and he says something to the degree of, the thing about the future is that when you look at it, it changes because you looked at it, So it's actually really confusing, and when you go back into the past, it's really it's also very hard to grasp, One of the most popular movies that I've ever seen that played around with this was Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, where they used the time turner to go back in time, but then throughout the movie, certain things happen, and then when they go back in time, we find out that the things that they did when they went back was what we were seeing in the present, So if they didn't do it, then the present would be something else, which was actually the future, which could have been the past and the God. Okay, you do see what I mean though? It's really, really hard when you try to put your head around it, But the way that it works is that if you go into the past and change something, obviously it's going to change the future, The most famous example are the Back to the Future movies, I prefer the first one. The sequel was pretty okay. The third one kind of sucked. I was like, man, a little too cowboy for my taste, country western. But I do think that the first one was something special, and you go back into the past and you change something in the way that's going to affect you positively or negatively in the future of the past, which is your present. God, it's confusing. But anyway, there have been many theories about how time travel works, and there are people who they say that they have seen people actually traveling in time. There's supposed video footage and photos of people who are photographed in a time period where they look a little strange, A lot of these have been debunked, at least the ones that I've seen, But it is still a very interesting thing to think about, I mean, come on, man, it's time travel. So here's the thing, when it comes to being able to go back in time, you probably think of a lot of different things, that you would be able to do that, well, it depends on you if you would want to change, the past or not to make you yourself have a better future. I definitely would. If I could go back in time and how can I explain? It's actually really weird. If I could go back in time and redo certain things in my life, I definitely would, especially when I was younger, in my teenage years. But imagine if you could go back in time knowing what would happen. It's like the movie Click, where the whole thing, the entire movie that you just saw was actually like a dream or something, a vision of what would happen, and then he's able to kind of give value to what he has now in the present, and try to make a better future because he saw how bad the future could get, What if that happened to you? What if where you are right now, you just suddenly wake up and it's 10 years before today, and everything that you've lived up until now has just been a vision or a dream, And then it's you get a second chance. You get to redo all of the things that you did that would eventually become mistakes in your life, That would be awesome. But if I could go back to when I was younger, knowing the consequences of what would happen, I would definitely make different decisions. But then again, I mean, you would have lost, I would have lost over 10 years of my life, Everything that I've done, all the experiences I've had, it's complicated. It's really complicated. But if I could go back in time time, you know, in a way that would not affect the present, you know, right now, I would definitely take advantage of this to watch a lot of sporting events, you know. Now, hear me out here. There are people who could say, no, I would go back in time and kill Hitler, you know, I would go back and try to prevent a certain disaster from happening, like maybe the 9/11 attacks, you know. But guys, there are certain things that if you prevent are going to send huge shockwaves through time, you know. There was an episode of Family Guy that actually used this as a concept, you know, where one of the characters goes back in time to and he himself prevents 9/11 from happening, and then the world is a much different place, a much better place, mind you, but not so good for the actual main characters, you know. But I mean, everything that happened in history, that it happened for a reason, you know. And a lot of things that we see, like natural disasters or man-made disasters, you know, terrorist attacks or famous crimes, you know, everything happens for a reason, you know, as morbid as it is to say. So if I could go back in time, if I could have my own time machine, yes, I would definitely go back just to see famous sporting events, you know. I would go to see players who I couldn't see because I was too young, you know. I would definitely go back to the 90s and I would just like teleport myself to a game with the Chicago Bulls to see Michael Jordan play, you know, or even further back, Will Chamberlain, Bill Russell, you know, a lot of basketball idols, LeBron, not LeBron because he's still playing, I can still see him today if I want to, Kobe Bryant, you know, I haven't seen him, you know, in other sports as well, I could go back and see Pele playing ball, Maradona, Ronaldinho, you know, so a lot of things come to mind, you know, in the sporting world, so that's what I would take advantage of to do. Now, it would also be cool to see some historic events within the entertainment industry, like also sports, you know, like for example, I could go watch Muhammad Ali boxing, you know, I could do something like that because he's considered to be one of the greatest fighters of all time, you know. I could go back and watch Bruce Lee, you know, like try to actually meet him, you know. Like if I could choose to go back in time, but not just go back in time, but like teleport myself to a certain moment in time, I would have like an entire list, man, of things that I would want to see, places that I would want to go, you know. I would try to see Bruce Lee, but like in a way that would not affect, you know, will not affect the future, you know. Like maybe I could do like Harry Potter did in the Pensieve, where he goes into the Pensieve and he goes back into the past, but he's like a spectator. He just sees what's happening, you know, like he's watching a movie. He can't actually physically interact. So if something like this were possible, I would definitely go to a bunch of different events, you know, and know that I could not actually physically affect them to a point where something's gonna happen in the future, you know. I would also go and I completely forgot what I was gonna see. Aside from sporting events, you know, the FIFA World Cup, the Olympics, you know, a lot of other events, NBA championships, I could try to see some famous, I could go to a Linkin Park concert, you know, or bands that just aren't active today. Linkin Park, unfortunately, in 2017, the lead vocalist Chester Bennington took his own life, so I will never see Linkin Park live, not the way that they were before, so I could take advantage of that, go see a show live, you know, or any band that for some reason is not active today, like Pantera, you know, or the classic bands, Aerosmith, Kiss, you know, the bands that today don't have the same energy that they did back in their peak in the 80s, you know. So I think it would be really nice to also do this, like take advantage to go to really cool events, you know, like music festivals as well, that, you know, just were really notable for any number of reasons, you know. So I would definitely try to explore this, you know, going back in time, like to see myself do something or my family members do something, that doesn't really seem too interesting. Like, yeah, you could take a time machine and go back to your great ancestors, but why? Like, where's the fun in that? You're just gonna see your great-great-grandparents, you know, have sex or something, you know, or work on a farm or whatever the hell they did. It's not fun. It's really not fun. But I would be curious to see maybe old companies like Coca-Cola or KFC back in the early days, you know, see what they were like, or just go back in history, you know, back to the 1930s and 20s in the United States or Europe, just to see how things were back then, you know. So I do have a little bit of interest in history, so I would like to see this as well. I would probably stay away from the wars though. I would probably not go near any of the world wars, you know. It just, you know. There's a video by Smosh where they called Time Traveling Pickup Master, where they do this in a humorous way, where they use a time machine to go back in time to try to manipulate something to make Anthony, Ian keeps going back to try to make Anthony randomly, you know, hit it off with a girl, you know, on a date. So I could also do this, you know, maybe I could go, but then again, in this case, it is like they can actually physically alter what's happening. So yeah, I don't think I would want to mess with this, you know, it's too risky, you know. I have seen way too many movies and shows and played too many games where people go back into the past and they mess around with something, then they come back to their time and everything is different, but then they have to go back and redo it, but then it gets even worse, you know. There's a thing called A Sound of Thunder. It's a book, but I think they also adapted it into a book, into a movie or a TV show. I don't know if that's what it was called, where it is a very prime example of the butterfly effect to an degree, to an extreme degree, where a group of people go back in time, you know, and then one of them accidentally steps on a butterfly. I don't know how many millions of years ago they go back, and then when they come back to the future, which is their present, you know, everything is different. It's all dystopian and destroyed, you know. It's really scary, man. Time travel is a very interesting thing, but it is also extremely scary. Well, yeah, guys, you know, in a nutshell, I think that's what I wanted to say about time travel, you know. It is the verdict is out on if it's actually possible to happen, you know. There have been a few pieces of evidence over the decades of people actually going through time, you know. There was once a car accident where it seems like one of the people involved came out of nowhere and he was driving a really old car and wearing old-timey clothes, you know, so they think he just like teleported there from another time, you know. Then there are also the stupid hoaxes where this one guy claims he went to the year 6000 and he took a photo and he holds up a really just stupidly blurred out white photo of buildings and crap, you know. It's really dumb. It's really dumb. But oh, I think I kicked my camera here. I'm sorry if the angle is a little off now. I kind of stubbed my foot here. But anyway, so I honestly think it's interesting. I think it's really cool just to think about and talk about this kind of thing, you know, which is why I want to hear what you guys think, you know. I want to hear what you think about this, you know. So shout out in the comments below telling me what you think about time travel and what you would do if you could go back in time to any time period for any reason, you know, any number of times, you know, and try to just see if you can make a list the same way I did, you know. I'd go to so many sports events, dude. So many sporting events. I'd go to like the launches of major gaming consoles, you know, or the iPhones, you know, Apple. That would be really cool too. So I could meet Steve Jobs, who was also, not me, because I wouldn't be able to, I keep forgetting that I would like to go back but not interact physically with what's happening, you know. That's also the thing. But I think it would be really cool, you know. Going back in time to actually physically change something would be a little more, it would be really confusing and a little dangerous, you know. But if that was my only choice, then I guess I would have no choice but to just be really careful, you know, with lest I be flagged, you know, in a photo from way back in the day. People are gonna know it's me, you know. But yeah, guys, I think that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Kind of a short vlog, a little concept vlog, just me talking, you know, rambling on and getting your guys' opinions later on it too, okay? So that's it, I guess, okay? So anyway, guys, yeah, I guess that's it. So I hope you like this video, and if you do, then please give it a like and also subscribe to my channel because I release videos every single day. And be sure to hit the notification button to know exactly what time I'm going to be uploading, because I do that completely at random every day, so it's all good. This is Chazzy, signing out for now, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Roll the outro screen.